freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic. It's storylines. It is our best bets, our one and done. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, hello to you.
Yo, is this the year we finally get the 3-1-3 challenge fulfilled? I think so. I think this is the year, guys.
This is me holding thumbs, Mark Immelman, that we accomplished it.
Very good. Well, I'm holding thumbs because I'm chilly. I just got out of my plunge tub. I was in there for about 7 or 8 minutes.
7 or 8 minutes. Is that the recommended amount?
Well, I don't have it like super freezing. It's about 45 degrees, so it's cold enough. But yeah, I'm holding thumbs. I'm holding everything right now. But I'm not sure about your 3-1-3 thing, Patrick. It's not going to happen.
Oh, not going to happen, KP. These guys, they have no hope. They have no optimism. All it is a birdie, ace, and an eagle, right?
It's such an absurd thing. Like it was come up by somebody who has never watched or played golf and was just trying to shoehorn some marketing into I feel bad. I mean, it's an easy thing to make fun of. Rick, I was thinking about this. Do you have a favorite brand of sparkling water?
Ooh, I used to be highly addicted to LaCroix.
Okay.
I would drink way too many. We had to actually have an intervention. I had to stop. We'd buy it in the 48 pack from Costco, and I would just run through it.
Like your parents had to drive in, and
my wife, yeah. My wife had to slap some sense into me. Everybody gathered around, friends and all close family, and said, "This is too much."
Patrick, you big sparkle water guy?
I'm a Topo Chico boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
throw that in there. Oh yeah, a little ranch water, Mark. Now you're speaking my language.
Uh-huh.
A TPC boy.
Yeah, exactly. For the brand, obviously.
I was looking to find out what area code is 444. That would be a lot more manageable if we had a golf tournament there. It looks like Southern California and maybe parts of Mexico.
You could have done it for LACC.
Could have done it. There we go. They would have. They would have rattled off a bunch of those and given away a lot of money.
Hey, that being said, they do, because if memory serves me, they give money for birdies and eagles through that stretch.
Yes.
And they raise a lot of money that way, because that par 5, what's it, number 14? I've seen guys at 7 irons and stuff in there, so it's like a long par 4. So they make their share of eagles. So they do raise some money. We've yet to see the 3-1-3 though.
Yeah, they raise a ton of money. So for every eagle at the 14th, it's $5,000. For every birdie at the 16th, it is $5,000. And for every ace at the 15th, it is $25,000. If you do all three, $313,000. And I originally thought it was you had to do them all in a row, but I guess at any point during the week.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is
I thought it was in a row.
A hair more obtainable.
That might have been the first ever Rocket Mortgage. They're like, let's do it in a row.
I think
no one's doing this.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then they listened to a few golf podcasts and realized everybody is making fun of them. Speaking of, what is it? The 15th, Mark? That's par 5.
Yeah, 15's the 14's the 5, 16's
14.
14's the 5, 15's the 3, 16's the 4. 16 is the good old.
I was thinking about this last week with TPC River Highlands. Are you in favor of or opposed to changing a lot of these par 5s that are not really par 5s into par 4s?
But okay, is the reason only to make sure that the scoring is not 25 under par?
Yeah, I think sure. Yeah.
I think that it's a pretty lame reason, but I would rather that than hear the birdie fest, blah, blah, blah. What conversation? I don't care. I wish there was a better reason to do it. I care so little about par that I don't even think changing par is that. We just have to teach people that par doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you look at it this way, like you could research real fast, I'm sure, Rick, 13 last week at River Highlands. What the average for the week was probably about 4.5. Yes. Was it slightly lower or slightly higher? So if it's a 4, it's playing a half a stroke over. It's a 5, it's playing a half a stroke under. But people are freaking out about it. I'm like,
What is it? 13?
yeah, 13 the par
Yeah,
5.
played 4.46.
Yeah, so basically a half a stroke. And then the drivable 15th played what, about a half a stroke under par, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's to me, I'm like, it changes the mindset of the player. That's all it does. Really, you'll see a difference on the scorecard. But if you look at the player and you go, this is a short par 5, they think birdie and they go. You tell them it's a long par 4, a difficult 4, and all of a sudden, it's like the mindset changes. It's the craziest thing. So all it does is change the player's mindset. But look, the winning score in the end is still the total strokes that matters.
Par, Patrick, is, I imagine, or at least the use of par so heavily is because of the crooked media, right? I mean, we need a way to describe, especially on television, like who is leading and who is not and all that stuff, right? It would be a lot more difficult for the viewing audience to say Scotty Scheffler is through 12 in 44.
That would be awesome.
Or whatever, right? Like that is just not, that's going to break people's brains. So I imagine it is just for ease of communicating the standings is why this has become such a normal topic.
I'm glad you tossed the crooked media one to me. I really appreciate that.
I know where
but yeah, like Mark said, it's low score wins at the end of the day. I don't really care one way or another what par is. I understand where KP's coming from with people just like to complain that we always talk about. And that's certainly one of the aspects is, oh, it was too easy. It was too easy. But I think if you want to change par on certain holes, does that get into the rollback discussion too? Because say the rollback comes through, who knows if the PGA Tour adopts it or not, and then you're changing par on those holes, you're just going down a slippery slope of changing everything. And look, we got enough going on already. We're all lawyers at this point. You throw in rollback, physics, every which way. It's like I'm in high school and college again.
Hey, Rick, if it was like total strokes, like Carl said, like he's hit 17 shots after 5 holes or whatever.
That would be awesome.
It'll be like Steve Sands at the Tour Championship. Remember that?
Yeah, get him the big board.
Yeah, get out with the whiteboard there.
Yeah,
I'm an advocate of just showing, hey, how many strokes is he taking, and you figure it out.
216 is par after 3 rounds. You know that.
it would shrink the game, which is perhaps what we should be going for in some aspects.
Well, one way to grow the game is potentially to create a framework with the Saudi Public Investment Fund and put all of your assets into a new company and see what happens from there, because the framework is out, gents. And KP, I'll go to you here first. You wrote an article about this on CBSSports.com. There are basically, I think there's 9 bullet points. I think only a couple of them are actually binding. And there is a lot of talk about things being done, in good conscience, in the best interest of it. There's a lot of like handshaking and, okay, maybe we can work together on this one.
Well, there's still a lot of, I think we'll be able to figure this out, won't we? Going on.
Right.
You know what I thought was the most interesting part of that document, which I'm sure you guys read through and broke down or read about, was article number 7. I don't know if that's what they're called. Are they called articles, Patrick?
I can, sure. Today they are.
Patrick said they are.
They are now. Article number 7. Go ahead.
Bullet number 7, point number 7, whatever you want to call it, which talks about this idea of the public investment fund being a preeminent sponsor of this new global tour. And the way it read was tantamount to what FedEx is right now, the FedEx Cup, whatever. And I thought that was really interesting because to me, Rick, that's like the thing that they were going for all along. We just kind of want to be associated with. It's a form of like when you have association with a global, well, with the PGA Tour, but now even more so, which this is kind of a global golf tour, right? This is what we've kind of all talked around and talked about for the last 10 years. And they built it. They took a very meandering path to get there, but it's being built. I don't know if I am a proponent of it because of how they got there, but I have wanted a global golf tour all along. And when you're a sponsor of a global golf tour, what you have is soft power. You have affiliation with CEOs. You have association with very powerful players, very rich players. And I just think that this idea of them sponsoring being a sponsor of this new global golf league is kind of what they would have settled on 7 years ago, 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or whatever. And that to me was the most interesting thing come out of that document that we didn't already, I guess we sort of knew it, but it was more clearly stated in that than we had seen before.
Yeah, working together collaboratively, implementing a plan to grow the combined commercial business and drive financial returns for shareholders. There is a lot of that type of speak in the framework here, Mark. It is not entirely different from kind of, or really more in depth than anything that has been announced in the last week or 10 days. There's still very few details. A lot of it comes down to controlling interest. And there's a line in here that says at all times it will maintain a controlling voting interest in the new company, and PIF will control or continue to hold a non-controlling voting interest, which then raises questions about, okay, is that Jay Monahan in charge? Oh, by the way, what is the status of Jay Monahan and his return? Like there's more questions I feel like have come from the framework than we had even when this was first announced on MSNBC.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I've not read the piece yet. I learned about this when I was driving back from picking up one of my children from a camp, and I heard Patrick and McGinnis speaking about it. My main question is, who let this document out today? Who was it released by? Where? Because I've just searched now and I've not been able to find the thing. I'm keen to know that first off.
CBSSports.com. So
yeah.
it was No Ain't Up broke it.
Okay, so knowing up broke it, you wrote about it. Look, I don't know enough to comment on the thing right now. I did understand from listening to Kadrick. I haven't read your piece yet, sorry, Kyle. I did understand that it was sort of friendly to live in there too, to a certain extent, and that even though Jay Monahan's the CEO, that LIV would still be a part of this. Everything that falls under NUCO or whatever they called. But again, yeah, I'm going to look at the article. I see it's just gone down in our chat over here. I'm going to have a look at that and then comment. Right now, I don't honestly have enough.
The future of LIV is interesting here, Patrick. So there is a line that says, quote, subject to execution of the definitive agreements, the new company will undertake a full and objective empirical data-driven evaluation of LIV and its prospects and potential, and will make a good faith assessment, there's that keyword again, of the benefits of team golf in general. And the PIF, the PGA Tour, and the DP World Tour will work together in an effort to determine how best to integrate team golf into the PGA and DP World Tour events going forward. So, does LIV continue to run in its current existence? Maybe, maybe not. Will those teams be integrated into the PGA Tour / DP World Tour ecosystem? Maybe, maybe not. Or will other teams, a true who knows, who could say situation, or will new teams be formed in this good faith effort to bring team golf to the mainstream?
Yeah, the objective, empirical, data-driven evaluation's going to be very key, depending which company does it. I mean, people forget McKinsey had...
Hell yeah, here we go.
I love Patrick.
McKinsey had the valuations of LIV through the freaking wazoo. So if McKinsey or the boys behind crunching the numbers, I mean, PGA Tour might be the new Latin America Tour for all we know. But if it's someone else, you know, a company that doesn't have such a hairy past, so to speak, it'll be interesting to see what becomes of it. I will stand by that. I think LIV Golf will become the Champions League of sort, where there will be teams in the background throughout the year, and the best players and the best teams who are willing to travel internationally will do that, maybe once a month or whatever it may be, the top 12 teams, whatever. But Rick, like you said, maybe not. The leak of the framework, to me personally, there are some minor details that came out, but it's still, we really don't know a lot.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing is that it has to be completed by December 31st, or they can revert to the current status quo, which seems
horrible for the PGA Tour.
For everyone, for us, for the PGA. I mean, there's no winners in that scenario. I just, Rick, I don't know how you feel. I don't envision a scenario where no company would, like, the point of blending together, don't call it a merger, is to blend together. It's not to keep things separate. Right now, you might have I guess what I'm saying is everybody's going to play under either one entity or both. They're not going to have these two separate tracks, because that just wouldn't make any empirical data, whatever, synergistic words they use there. That wouldn't make any sense, right? Like that just doesn't add up to me. So whether you want to call it LIV or call it the Tour or call it both or whatever, everybody's going to be playing at the same places.
What about this potential theory where the PIF drags it out beyond the new year? But so what they have achieved is they get, Big J off the moral high ground, the litigation's done, and now they can just pick players off one by one and bring them over to LIV if they want. People said LIV Golf was this Trojan horse for the Saudi Arabians to get influence in golf. What if this deal was the actual Trojan horse?
I like that theory.
Well, it is.
That's sick.
I mean, we talked about this originally, is when, the abrupt about face of Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour has opened up a lot more doors, whether this deal gets done or not, for the Saudis. Mark, KP's right that the deadline here, December 31st, 2023. We have not heard, nor should we hear, but who's now running this from the PGA Tour side? If Jay Monahan is taking a step back, focusing on his health, isn't he the biggest advocate from the Tour side? So how the next 5 months, how are they going to get anything done?
Well, he's got lieutenants, Andy Pazder and company among those, but
who might not have known that this deal even existed when it happened.
Well, yeah, and then there's Tyler Dennis, who was doing some of the question answering at the U.S. Open. But a lot of folks still haven't heard from the commissioner. I had breakfast with Adam Scott and a few folks last week, and there was a lot of speculation on the go there too. They were all talking about a board meeting that was happening in Detroit now, or this afternoon. So maybe more will come out then. But I think the deadline is crucial. What I point to, because, I'm sort of thinking just from a mechanics sort of a point of view, this is all in the future, right? It's becoming clearer, but it's still hazy. What is a little hazy right now in terms of business as usual for the Tour is we have a fall schedule, but 2024 is still very much TBD. As we're all getting talked about like this, and there's word of Mexico taking the place of where Honda was, and it's all this rumor and stuff. But right now we don't have anything that's concrete. So I think Kyle's point about the deadline at the end of December is a big deal, but the Tour has some big fish to fry right now in terms of, all right, what are we doing here in 2024? Because you've got television companies and all this sort of stuff. Everyone's waiting with bated breath, honestly.
That's the other thing, KP, is is it business as usual, and you've got to plan for 2024 like PIF doesn't exist, and you have to continue to try to negotiate and plan like you're gonna have to come up with a process to reinstate LIV golfers at the end of the year? Like there are almost two leagues, the PGA Tour with PIF and the PGA Tour without LIV, that are gonna have to run simultaneously until they get this figured out.
Well, I think the thing that's helpful with that is you've got management that's sort of beyond the day-to-day operations of those leagues sort of deciding those things. Now, the argument is right now you don't. If Jay Monahan is not, if he's out for now, so he would be like, if it's him and like nobody, I guess my point is nobody from LIV that's doing day-to-day stuff over there is making any decisions about the NUCO, right? And same thing for the PGA Tour. A lot of the people that I think work at the PGA Tour, they're not really involved in making the decisions for NUCO. So you've almost got this like higher plane of executives and management working on that. But the thing is, Rick, the timeline is so short. I mean, think about all the rhetoric from all the time that we've covered golf is like, man, these things take a while, it just takes a long time to figure out how to close the broadcast window and just random stuff throughout the last several years. And it's like, oh, we're going to create this multi-billion-dollar corporation in like 4 months and roll it out. And it just, I don't know. John Nucci posted this really good thread or this really good tweet today about how the tour is pretty vulnerable right now, because if this gets blocked, and to Patrick's point, or it doesn't get done by December 31st, then what? Like, well, what does January 1 look like? I think I think the next 6 months, I mean, this is obvious, but more so from the tour side, are very, very, very crucial for the future of professional golf underneath the PGA Tour.
Awesome stuff. Well, it'll be a fun couple of months here headed towards the holiday season. We're going to put a pin in this conversation now because there's not much new information. We have a lot of other things that we need to get through. So we're going to talk Rocket Mortgage. We got lots of storylines. There is actually another match this week. We've got a new President's Cup venue. There's just a lot happening. We're going to reset after this break.
Absolutely magisterial here.
And we're back. Detroit Golf Club, Patrick, that's the site of this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic. There is now 4 other editions. This will be the 5th edition of this event, relatively new on the PGA Tour schedule, and the best field they've ever had, because that tight little window of only the top 70 making the FedEx Cup playoffs has given that's right, Justin Thomas a reason to get his name in late, 66th in the FedEx Cup standing. Collin Morikawa trying to find some form as he makes a run at maybe another major championship and into his playoff year. So a lot of things happening here as we sprint to the finish line.
Yeah, it was a nice, I don't know if unintended consequence of the shakeup with the playoff cutoff, but they try to trim the fat. JT does his best. He goes on a gluten-free, dairy-free, fun-free diet, and all of a sudden he finds himself in the fat. He struck the ball great the last few days at the Travelers. I think it was his best approach performance since the start before his Players' victory, the WGC at Concession, I believe. So it looks like he's making his way. And then Collin, I have no idea what to think about his year in general. Who freaking knows? And then someone who's outside the top 50 as well is Hideki Matsuyama, who's coming on strong lately, striking the ball well, just needs a putter to come around. But yeah, it's cool to see these guys add stops that normally they wouldn't have, just because JT said it last week in Connecticut, he doesn't have the luxury anymore. And that's why he's here.
Yeah, that's why he's here. And Mark, it's a classic Donald Ross design with Tony Finau playing defense of his title. And as we talked about, if he's going to try to get it done again, it's going to have to be against a much deeper field this time around.
Yeah, and some very deep, different conditions too. I mean, the last couple of years we've been there, it's been sort of receptive early in the week, and then over the weekend it was sort of dry with lower humidity. So the golf course firmed up a little bit, but still it's been a bonanza. I mean, you've had to shoot rounds of 5 and 6 under par almost every day to stay relevant. And then you hear defending champ Tony Finau in the press this morning going, hey, with it being so soft, because they've had a lot of rain in that big storm Monday night, that he's thinking a winning score of 28 to 30 under par. So yeah, it's going to be a situation. Look, it's a good golf course if it's firm, but it's fairly flat. Where most Donald Ross courses are sort of a lot of undulations and stuff like this. This is a flat piece of land where there's just subtle movement. So if it's soft, these guys are just going to absolutely shoot the grass off the place because there's not much to defend it. And then the power guys, like we saw with Bryson at the first Rocket Mortgage, where he just drove it over the top of every bunker in the corner of every elbow of every dog leg. And so it was having like chips and wedges and stuff, and even strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach were misreading him because they couldn't figure out like where he was.
That was awesome.
The greens. So I when it's soft like this, it will play longer. But these guys are also long now that it's going to be a wedging contest. I mean, they're just going to blast it again, and then hopefully make putts. So it's going to be entertaining. I'm just keen to see how the whole thing shakes out.
Here's a very normal sentence. Per shot link, Detroit Golf Club is the flattest course on the PGA Tour schedule with a standard deviation of terrain just 2.18 feet.
Okay, well, I knew it was flat because it was an easy walk. I didn't know it was that flat.
Oh, it is that flat, Mark.
The feet test never fails.
Never fails.
You aim pointed the whole property.
The standard deviation of, I wonder what the Augusta National standard deviation of feet is.
A lot more than that.
Yeah, a lot more than that. KP, what's like the most interesting storyline, right? Like what comes out of this week? We do have the top players, but I don't think it's going to be career altering if anybody wins the Rocket Mortgage. I don't think we're going to be hollering about, how this sets up for Ben Taylor moving forward or anything like that. Is it these guys like Justin Thomas, Collin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama trying to find form? Is it like what is the biggest takeaway from this week?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of guys that are big names that have not won in 2023 that are looking for a win. So it's JT, Morikawa. You can throw Fowler in there. Hideki's not won this year. Sanjay's not playing very well. But yes.
He had better last week. He had a few runs in the 60s.
So I think it's that because I mean, like you said, it's an unusual number of not just stars, but guys that are kind of household names that are showing up this week. And most of them are like, if Justin Thomas had won an event earlier this year, I kind of don't think he would be there. Right. So those guys are going there looking for trophies, for wins, which is always the case, but it feels more so this week because it's kind of unusual that they're there. So that for me is kind of, as I was thinking about this tournament, sort of the primary thing that I was thinking about.
Okay. And it is that time of year, Patrick, where, the college boys graduate, turn pro, and jump up on the scene. Sam Bennett, Ludvig, Aberg leading the way in that category. They're both in the field this week. And we're very close to Ludvig mania, I believe.
So's the Sargent. He's in the field as well.
He's going to murder this course.
Yeah, I'm Ludvig's got a date with the European captain Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, he does.
I think
I think things are happening there, Patrick.
That is so
if you add, I got to figure out a nickname for him. The Vig, I don't know. To that European,
you could do a betting show with him and call it the Vig with Vig.
It could be ice for Iceberg.
Okay. He drives the absolute piss off the golf ball. I mean, first at the Canadian Open with Rory in the field. He was fourth at the Travelers off the tee. If you put him on that European team, you have Hovland, him, Rahm, Rory. Like potentially the four best drivers in the competition. You could throw Cantlay in there, but that's just, oof.
I don't
you
think
wouldn't throw Spieth in there.
Maybe not Marco Simone.
Finau.
Sneaky long. Hey, so here's a question. You talked about Sargent, and then Kyle was like, he's going to drive he's going to batter this place. And then Ludvig. So where do you go if you had to pick now for a bottle of wine?
Between Sargent and Ludvig?
Hey, Kyle, you can do your bet with me some favors if JT comes through this week for you.
That would be nice. I got a long way. I got a Mount Everest in front of me. I think Ludvig is probably a better player right now. Yes. And I think Sargent's ceiling is just insane. I think Sargent's ceiling is I don't know who that's under 30 has a higher ceiling than him right now.
Well, then I want to ask you this because
maybe Scotty Scheffler. That was a bad statement.
That's tough. Under 30, let's
come to the dark side.
Under 25. Under 25.
So hold on. So, but you're basing this argument, I guess, on Sargent's power off the tee, right?
And the fact that Rory said he's like the best amateur he's ever played with.
How about under 21? He's only 20. That's
NCAA individual as a freshman. I think his scoring average this year was like sub 69.
Number one amateur in the world.
He's got to, in my opinion, look, he's great, but he's got to learn to harness that gas. Look at Bryson while we're on the Rocket Mortgage. When he came here and won it the first time, he was big Bryson. He's eating pizzas and protein shakes every 3 minutes, and he was just burly and swinging as hard as he could. Then when he learned more, started to refine the approach and learned to swing sort of softer and generate enough speed, because he was just like, I'm going to drive at 400. And then he suddenly realized that trying to drive at 400 had its limitations and its effect on the body too. So look, Sargent's got a lot of game right now. I think your initial observation of the fact that Ludvig is just very well-rounded. He has got it all. He really has got it all.
He's very good. Really good.
I don't think Ludvig is going to get much time with Luke Donald because he will be 100 yards past him. They will not be spending much time together. Gents, I want to hit a couple of other items here real quick. We are in the eighth version of the match. Patrick, if you did not work in golf, could you working in golf, could you tell me who is in this match?
Oh yeah, come on. Of course. I was going to ask the question, could we name the 7 previous matches?
Okay, hold on. Let me get the list.
Phil and Tiger was first.
Yeah,
that is correct.
All right.
I can't do this. Maybe you guys can.
Here we go. Tiger versus Phil was number 1. Number 2.
Then it was Brady and Peyton and Tiger and
Phil.
Okay, so it was, so those were the 4. It was Tiger and Peyton versus Phil and Brady. Yes. Tiger and Peyton won. That was number 2.
Mm-hmm. And
this was DJ and Matt Wolf. That was not one of the matches, was it?
No.
That was the thing
TaylorMade.
TaylorMade driving relief. That was not a match. Yeah.
Okay, we had Barkley and Steph were in one.
Yep.
Was Andre Iguodala in that?
No,
it was Phil was with Barkley and Steph was with Peyton.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Biggest bet I've ever won. That was the easiest lock of the century. Phil and 4 and 3.
I remember that because you're like, I get a pro, and I think you like the odds, huh?
They were plus money.
Yeah, they were dog.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The only team with a professional golfer are dogs. Okay,
yeah, that's it. That's insane.
That was the 3rd one. Okay, so you could see the evolution. Tiger, Phil, then it's Tiger and Phil. Then it's like, yes, Phil. Then it's like we're evolving here. So the 4th one.
Well, no, there was like Spieth and JT versus Tiger and Rory.
That was the most recent one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Beyond that, I'm done.
I don't remember that.
We have 3 left.
That was the one where Jordan adjusted at the end. Said, "What happened?"
Oh yeah. That was great. That was fun.
That was probably the best one, honestly.
They went to Montana. They did like a season out there.
Aaron Rodgers, Bryson, Phil, and who's the 4th?
Andre Iguodala.
No, Iguodala has never played in this. So.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
was Mahomes there?
No, not yet.
Another quarterback.
It was probably Tom.
Yes, it was Tom and Phil losing to Bryson and Aaron Rodgers. That's when Aaron Rodgers was clinical.
Of course. How could you forget Rodgers and 21.
Then they started to get back on track here. Okay. So now the first time they went to the win,
that was Brooks Bryson.
And Brooks pummeled him 5-3.
Yeah.
Then the second one at the win, I was there for this one.
I remember Phil commentating. I don't think he played because he had the crazy glasses on.
He had the shades
Yeah.
on.
I don't know this one. This is the last one we need.
We need to call in. Can we call Trevor and ask him? He's broadcast them all, hasn't he?
He is.
We're not doing the Justin Rose Tiger one? That wasn't a match.
What?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was Justin Rose, Tiger, JT, and Rory at the place in Missouri.
Domino Gate.
Yeah.
No.
It was
had the extra hole.
Yeah, it was the Dominoes match. It was right. It was the week after Wingfoot, I think.
Paynes Valley.
There you go.
Wow. No, this is a four quarterback affair. This one, last one we need.
Oh, this was at the win. This was Mahomes, Rodgers.
Tom Brady, probably.
Yep. And
yeah.
We are so close.
Matt Ryan.
No. Younger, cooler, bigger, stronger, faster.
Oh, Kenny Pickett.
Josh Allen.
Kenny Pickett. No, Josh Allen. Yes, Mark. It was Tom
Kenny Pickett.
Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers one up over Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Who could possibly forget? So there they are. This is the 8th one. It is now. Okay. So now what's this one, Patrick?
This one is a
Splash Bros.
Yeah, Splash Bros v Mahomes and Kelsey.
That's right. Mahomes, Kelsey versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Kelsey's swing, not bad.
Yeah, that's what they all look like. And then when they start playing, it ends up not.
Well, I mean, listen, yes, but my expectations were like right here. Like they were very low. He can hit it.
I think he played in Tahoe.
How has Tony Romo not been part of the match?
How
He's on the PGA Tour half the time.
You getting the sponsors invites. I'm worried, Mark, and I'm the sickest of sickos. I've gone to some of these. I've watched every single one. This is the one that I feel like we've lost our identity here. I don't know what our identity is anymore. I'm not sure it's a quarterback and a tight end versus the splash. I'm not sure that's it for me, but I don't know if I'm just crazy.
Well, look, the only real golf person on the broadcast crew is my brother. The rest of them, you got Chuck and you've got Ernie, and on the golf course, they got a couple basketball players, I think, on the golf course. So it's going to be just a fun fest. Yeah, but Thursday night TNT, I think it is. I don't know. How many is it? 18 or 9 holes? Do we even know this?
It better be 9.
I think it's a 12-hole scramble.
12. I'll tell you what.
That's fine.
12 is do 12. They should stick with 12.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look. I'm like, what are we doing here? It sounds to me like this is me guessing, but Capital One still had a few years on the deal, and they're trying to find out ways to get this thing to the finish line, basically.
I'm a big fan of stuff like this, Kyle. Like, I honestly think like this is a good way to grow the game, but not like this specifically, right? Like, I like, the Tiger versus Phil thing was cool. The Tiger Phil, and then you get the quarterbacks and Brady and Peyton. That was awesome. The technology is always cool, but I feel like it's like when you are playing telephone and we're way off of the original message here.
Well, and I think what you're saying is it doesn't feel special, right? It just feels like a thing that's on TV.
They found 4 athletes who were available this week.
And that's fine. Like if it's just going to be a thing that's on TV, okay. Like that, but you're not going to be able to sell it as if it's something special. So I just don't know that the profitability of it matches up with what was intended at the very beginning.
Well, don't forget this thing sort of had its origin in the COVID times, right? When there was a lack of television entertainment and live sport and stuff. So that's when a lot of these were taking place. And now sport's back, and we're having big PGA Tour events. And like you say, PGA Tour players are like, we cooked by now. We're trying to get to the end of the season ourselves. And going to Vegas to play 12 holes, no, not so much. So there's a lot of that on the go too, I think.
Yeah, the thing that I want is, remember they made Tiger and JT and Rory and Spieth play one club for that hole.
Yeah,
I want that. I want the best in the world playing in a way that they don't normally play, whether it's a 1 club deal or a 3 club deal or whatever, because that's where they get to showcase, like, no, I'm actually a lot better than you even think I am. Right. That's fun to me. And I think it's entertaining. And it's a little bit of that. I'm reading the new LeBron book right now by Jeff Benedict, who wrote the Tiger book, or helped write the Tiger book with Armin Katayan. And it's fantastic because he talks about how LeBron understands that he's an entertainer, like he's a showman, and I think a lot of golfers understand that as well, but they don't often maybe get a chance to show that off like they could if presented the opportunity in a match like this. So if they continue, or when they continue to do it in the future, I hope we get more of that.
Well, it could be dead in the water with TGL too.
Yeah.
Good call.
That should be part of it, right? Shouldn't they just sell this to Capital One and say, listen, we'll bring out 2 guys from LAGC and 2 guys from this Fenway Group Boston-based team and do it that way, and that's one of the events? Like, that's too easy.
Is LAGC a better or worse name than the Cliques?
It's slightly better. The big favorites are the Splash Bros, by the way, minus 230 to Mahomes and Kelsey, plus 195. Tough scene for those Kansas City Chiefs. Quickly here, Mark, the President's Cup has announced a new venue, Kingston Heath. We're going back down under in 2028.
Yeah, and Kingston Heath is a gem. Royal Melbourne gets all of the airtime because it's got undulation and all these beautiful greens and changes in sort of scenery and stuff, where Kingston Heath is out in front of you, and it's a real crafty sort of a design. It doesn't have the beauty, if you will, that Royal Melbourne does, but it's just a wonderful golf course. When we found out the other evening, I was having dinner with Ian Baker Finch, who's a member there. And he's actually won there, and he was over the moon, and I was like, oh, I gotta go. And my brother was over the table, and I'm like, come on now, let's pull some strings, kind of thing. And so everyone's looking forward to it. I think Kingston Heath is going to show out fantastically well. I would argue almost, and if not better, than Royal Melbourne did. That's how good it is.
Royal Melbourne was awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome because it's like LA North kind of thing down in Australia, right? Where this is flat, it's in front of you, the holes turn beautiful. It's just a good spot. Really,
don't get the people against you now, Mark.
Yeah. Unlike LACC, Royal Melbourne's a great golf course. So.
Get out of here, Patrick.
Well, we got 5 years to debate Kingston Heath and LACC and Royal Melbourne and all that stuff. So we'll put a pin in that. We've got our best bets. We've got our one and done coming up. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Said I'm fired up. I'm sorry your time's up. After the time came from the ashes, I rise up.
And we're back. Let's talk bets. And gents, we got to run through these. Well, not super quick, but not too lengthy here. Here's the board. Thank you very much. Josh, we've got our matchups. Our finishing positions are outright wagers. Patrick, we'll start with you. Give us a matchup that you are most confident in.
Taylor Moore plus 105 over Adam Hadwin. This was a kind of a blind draw. I thought Taylor Moore was playing well, but I guess the Valspar Championship was like 3 months ago. But we're going with it. Plus money. Toss up.
Mark, you have found a pair of flushers for your matchup. Who have you taken there?
But one's flushing a little bit better than the other. And that's why I'm going with Justin Thomas. Patrick, you said it earlier. You just don't know what to make of Collin Morikawa. There's just one too many sort of mishits, if you will. And whereas he shot 63 in the second round to nearly make the cut, he shot like 4 or 5 over in round 1 at TPC River Highlands, which was essentially it had no teeth whatsoever.
It's like shooting 80.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been saying so for a while. I'm a little concerned about Morikawa and where the technique is. Give me JT plus money.
Yeah, JT over Collin Morikawa. I went with Austin Eckgoat. The guy is on an unbelievable run. -110 over Brian Harman. Try to stop me now. Eckgoat is the second best player in the field over the last 36 rounds in raw strokes gained behind. Yes, Ricky Fowler. KP.
I've got a lot of Austin Eckert coming up as well. My matchup is JT over Sungjae. JT plus money. I know he's been bad. Sungjae's also been kind of bad. They were both better last week. I'm sorry. If JT's plus money in a field like this, I'm taking it.
That is Eckroat over Harman, Moore over Hadwin, Thomas over Sungjae, Thomas over Collin for the matchups. Finishing position, Mark, you have the top 40 wager on the board. Where'd you go?
Yeah, I like top 40s. I did consider Ludvig Aberg for the top 30, the one that you picked there. I'll be honest with you. But he hasn't finished inside the top 30 he's been sort of 25-ish around there in his finishes. But Henrik Norlander has got a surprisingly good record around this place. And he's the kind of guy, when he finds a golf course, he plays it well. He's a real horse for course kind of a guy. So the Swede plus 260 for top 40. Let's go.
Yeah, plus 260. Mark, last time I checked, T25 is inside the top 30.
Yeah, I got myself confused there.
That will do the trick just fine this time around, which is why I have Ludvig Aberg top 30 at plus 120. And Patrick, oh yes, let the big man rip it off the tee. Where'd you go?
Oh, yeah. Benny on, former U.S. amateur champion himself. I think last 3 months he's like second tee to green. Like you said, top 5 in driving distance, can do that bomb and gouge methodology that has worked so well here. Playing some great golf. So top 30 at plus 125.
Imagine just like playing golf in 2023 as a guy who cannot control where it goes, and then you can just say you bomb and gouge, right? It's like we invented the data has invented a way for you to get
a style.
For you to get away with being inaccurate off the tee. It's great.
I kind of bomb and gouge this podcast sometimes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I bomb and gouge on the golf course, but I don't bomb it. I just mostly gouge. KP, you've alluded to this. Eckgoat has made your card here and will make further appearances later.
Yeah, Austin Eckroat, he's on a tear. I mean, he's been really good for like 6 weeks now. Finished second at Byron Nelson. That kind of set off this run of, I mean, he hasn't been finishing in the top 5, but he's also been playing in like the US Open and pretty high level events. So the fact that it's kind of bumping back down to a lesser event, I really like him to finish in the top 20 this week at Rocket Mortgage.
Eckroat top 20 plus 220. Norlander plus 260 to finish inside the top 40. Benny on plus 125 inside the top 30. Ludvig plus 120 to finish inside the top 30. Outrights, gentlemen. KP, I'm going to bounce it right back to you. This is an all Oklahoma State outright board for you. Where'd you go?
I tried to get an all Oklahoma State board. I almost did it, but Ricky and Eckroat, I love that value with Eckroat at 50. He should be, if his name was Justin Thomas, he'd be like 16 the way he's playing right now. And then Ricky's been awesome. He just I know the US Open was disappointing, but it does still feel like Butch Harmon said in January he's going to win this year. I still feel like he is, and this would be a kind of a perfect spot for it.
Mark, you have a little bit of an overlap on your betting card as well. So what did you choose for your two outrights?
I do. And just for posterity's sakes, I was looking at Aberg top 20 was plus 225. Hey, Ricky's playing nicely. I love where the game is. My focus is Tom Kim, who's kind of percolating a little bit and really starting to play into some good form. And I've got him planned in one and done over the next few weeks. So I'm looking forward to another big week for him.
All right. Patrick, you and I share one golfer. Tell the people who that one is, please.
Hideki Matsuyama, 18-1. I think it's time. I just think it's time. Second tee to green. I think first in approach, second in approach, last 3 months, something like that. He might be first tee to green. I flipped those, but this just seems like the perfect spot for him. He's putting better, gained 3 out of the last 5, including last week, and the iron play is red hot. And then I've thought about it a little bit. I'm going to hat tip KP here. I think the iceberg plays. I think that's the one we should settle on. And at 50-1, watch out. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface than you can even see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of.
Might not be a great week for that.
I was gonna say I was trying to think of something good there for the old Titanic. Didn't happen for me. Aberg and Hideki for Patrick. I've got Hideki as well. I've got Collin Morikawa as well. It is flushers only on my outright card. Give yourself enough opportunities. Let's see if we can find a hot putter for the week. Now, Josh has been very generous, and he has given us an extra $50. Gentlemen, who is on the $50 bill?
Andrew Jackson.
No,
Grant.
He's the Jackson's the 20.
Ulysses S. Grant is correct. Patrick, I knew you'd come through on that one. So Josh has given us an extra Ulysses S. Grant. And Mark, how did you choose to spend it?
I went with Ludvig Aberg in the top 20. It's a bit of a risk, as I was trying to say when I got my numbers all confused earlier, but he's got all the tools, and Kyle pointed out too, the field is a little lesser. So I think it's time now for someone who's playing with a whole lot of confidence on a golf course that will suit his style to make a bit of a splash. So plus 225 for a top 20, I think is a good bet.
Yeah, it's an all Ludvig betting show here, KP, because you found a different way to incorporate him into your best bet.
Yeah, I did. Top Nordic plus 180. I got to worry about the one of the Hogards. I got to worry about Henrik Norlander. I got to worry about a couple other guys, but I'm not worried at all because over the last 6 months, Ludvig Aberg is 13th in this field in strokes gained overall. Gordon Sargent, by the way, is 14th. So could be a smoke show in Detroit.
Who are the other Nordics? The Højgaard, which is I think
maybe Noren.
Noren's in it, yeah.
Norlander.
Norlander, Lingmerth, probably.
I didn't get that far down the list.
I went with Taylor Pendrith to be the top Canadian, 2-1. He hasn't been playing as well, but this is just probably the best golf course on tour for him. So fire up Taylor Pendrith and see what happens. Patrick, you have stayed on brand, sir. You have brought the negativity.
Your favorite bet.
You have told us someone who will miss the cut. Who is it?
Justin Suh plus 160. I thought we were going to get it across the finish line with Thigala, much to Mark's chagrin last week. Made it on the number, but Justin Suh, just too much putter lately.
Too much putter lately. Pendrith top Canadian, Suh to miss the cut. Aberg top Nordic, Aberg top 20. The best bets. One and done, gentlemen. Final thing, and we'll get right on out of town. It is a smaller purse. It is not an elevated event. So we got to be a little bit strategic here. KP, you at 8.7 million are going to lead us off with whom?
Austin Eckroat. I need it. I'm saving Sargent for the Tour Championship, so I figured I'd play Eckroat here.
3 of you have opted for the same
Would
golf.
you like that, Patrick?
I might have to use them too.
Hideki. Greg has Hideki. Patrick has Hideki. Mark has Hideki. Patrick, we'll start here with you. You're at 9 million. You could snap into double digits this week.
This is doomsday scenario, though. I'm making up no ground on Greg and Mark. And look, Mark's going to come off all confident. I get it. He's been winning this thing for the past 4 years, it seems like. But I think he heard the orcas coming up, sneaking up on the boat. Only 7 million behind, you know. And
the tour championship's worth 7 million. So as long as you have Sargent in the bag, you're good, Patrick.
I don't know if him and Josh colluded on this one to make sure we had the same ones, just so I wouldn't make up more ground or not. I don't know. That's what the fans are saying, at least, not me.
Basically, the world of golf is just one big collusion right now.
Correct.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Collusion.
Hey, by the way, Rory might have complimented Sargent. He's certainly not fearful of Sargent at East Lake.
Mark, have you heard the orcas?
They were quite quiet, or at least they are quiet. They're quiet hunters, I've heard. I mean, nothing's bumped the boat just yet. So, no, we're just going according to plan here. Hideki was a bit of a bonus because I wanted to use him earlier in the year, but things have shaken out pretty well with my selections and my final few events. I've got all the right folks slotted in there. So I had Hideki and I had trying to see who else I had here.
You want to tell us who you have the rest of the way?
And Finau. Who have I got left?
No, who
Yeah.
who are you going to play the rest of the way? Yeah.
Well, I've got Rory, I've got Hovland, I've got Morikawa, I've got Finau, I've got Sungjae and Tom Kim.
Are you kidding me?
And just in case stuff goes bad, Keegan Bradley is there, Shane Lowry is there, and hold on.
But do you have Sargent and Aberg? Because those are the ones that I'm focused on.
And I might just use Brian Harmon next week because he plays the course so well.
It's just toying with us at this point. Jesus.
Sia is at 12 million. He has Tom Kim. I've used everyone in this field, so I used Ludvig Aberg. The fans have gotten Tony Finau, and Kyle M, who is back at it again with his pick in, is also gone with Tom Kim. So for those listening at home, 16.5 million. Mark has gone for Hideki. Kyle M, 14.7. Tom Kim. The fans, 14.2. Tony Finau. Rick, 13.7. Ludvig. Sia, 12.4. Tom Kim. Greg, 10.8. Hideki. Patrick, 9. Hideki. Kyle, 8.7, Ekra. Those are the picks for the one and done. I promised that we would get one of us out of here by 6 p.m. Eastern time, which I have about 12 more seconds. So if you have something, you better say it now.
So good to see you guys. I'll catch you from Detroit. Peace.
Okay.
Gordon Sargent averaging 323.9 off the tee. I think that would be an all-time PGA Tour record if he qualified.
And isn't he averaging like 2.3 on the greens or something?
Possibly.
Patrick, with last word if you want it.
Vance Joseph having the time of his life.
There you go. That concludes our mega preview pod for this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic. Big thanks to producer Josh. Does all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman, available on Twitter at Mark_Immelman. Patrick McDonald at Amateur Sacks. Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.